Welcome to Chat Lab. I'm Evan.
And I'm Ethan, and this is the podcast where thoughts are tested and subjects are studied.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be getting into meeting our first friend and us meeting. But first, I have a question for you.
Do you?
How you doing?
Well, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. It's been a good week. Not a productive week, but good week nonetheless. What have I done this week? Well, fucking nothing really.
Done nothing. Well, I suppose I'll start. So I saw my uncle. We went to the gym today.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Now I'm tired.
Yeah, I got a gym membership for those that care.
I didn't get the membership. I just did it one payment.
There 3 times this week. Plan on going tomorrow. I'll keep you updated on that routine.
It is extremely weird having all the COVID restrictions and things in place when going to the gym.
Oh yeah.
Like having to wipe down everything, and you might swap weights between your sets, and it is so irritating to have to wipe it down.
Those of you that don't go to the gym, basically, when you pick a weight you want to lift. Sometimes it's too heavy, and sometimes you just keep on going. You want to keep going, so you go between like 3 different weights, down 2.5 kilograms each time. And the thing now you have to do is when you walk in, they give you a spray bottle, and you have to spray your shit down with this anti-sanitizer every time you use it. So you're either hogging 3 weights, or you put it up and clean it, and by that point the drop set's over. So.
And even then, if you are hogging 3 weights, you still have to clean every single one of them when you want to put them back. And like, sure, I had to get an induction when I first went in, because he was like, "Is this your first time?"
Yeah, you forgot to do that. I told you about that, but I didn't tell you it was online. So.
Yeah, so I filled in the form online, and then he was like, "Oh, this is your first time being back since lockdown, is it?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I need to do an induction with you." So he went through kind of the rules and stuff, showed me like, stay in between these spaces, carry around a spray bottle, wipe your stuff down, sign this thing just to tick it, just because.
Didn't get that.
Well, I got that.
I got my membership before I started though. Like I walked, because went in last Thursday, and was like, I did membership, got the membership, and then I went to the gym. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, maybe if they assume I'm a member already, they know not to give me an induction. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
but maybe it could have been 1 because I'm not a member, or 2, maybe they just started it now. Maybe it wasn't there when you went the first time. It could be either of those things, but it wasn't that bad really, because when you're in there, you don't have to social distance really. That's what he said to me. I think, anyways, he said in the halls there's a one-way system, but in the gym you don't really have to. There's not one-way systems. You just kind of
I have seen the 2 machines that are in close proximity of each other. You can't use one when the other one's in use.
Yeah, they have tape on the floor and everything, so you have to like stand out of that or away from that tape when they're using that machine.
It's like parking spaces.
Yeah. Also, you had to bring the towel. You have to bring the towel to put on the machines. It said beach towel. But like, I just thought I'd bring a big enough towel. Yeah. But then when I went to do it first, I put the bench straight up and I put the towel on it, and it wasn't long enough to fit the entire thing. I was just like, it's fine. I'll sit on the seat and I'll spray the seat afterwards. But for the back part, I'll keep the towel on.
Yeah.
So I did that.
So that's another restriction. You have to bring a big towel to put on the machines you're using, or you won't be allowed in. And actually, funny thing about that, friend Greg, when he first went, the week before I started going, they saw bring a towel, and he was like, "Oh, cool, towel, right? That's to clean the stuff down." Okay, so he brought Zoran a spare towel as well, and went up to the receptionist and was like, "Oh, you brought your towels?" He was like, "Yeah." And he whips out of his pocket two tea towels.
Oh yeah, no good.
Yeah, and just because Zoran kind of knows them and stuff, they were just back and forth. I think they got some spare towels somewhere.
Yeah,
you're literally not allowed in without.
I think in the thing that I was taking, it's just kind of like to make sure you've read it, make sure you have everything with you. So I just signed that I had a towel, that I had my own water, blah blah blah, that I have to stay, in my zones or whatever. And one of them said, I think that you need to bring your own towel, and I think in brackets, I didn't really read it that much because I had a towel, but I think it said that they would supply one for you if you didn't have one.
Yeah, for a price maybe.
Yeah, even the pens. He was like, pick up a pen out of that box. So I did it. I read it, checked everything, signed, and then he was like, "No, put the pen in this box," because they need to like sanitize everything.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's actually kind of insane.
It's nice to get out of the house though and go somewhere to do something else, because working out at home has been rough.
Oh yeah, no, it's impossible.
Yeah,
It really
I
is.
just stopped.
I think we talked about it on the first one, but
Yeah.
it really is. It's impossible. I haven't done it. Like
Yeah.
my, sure, the fitness app is like, oh my god, you're doing stuff. Like the circle went around multiple times because like the only time I did it was, as I said the last time or whatever, is that I did like 15 minutes, and it was like happy with me then, but then I stopped again, and it was like, you did it yesterday, you can do it again. It was like, you did it last week, you can do it again. So I'd say it's happy with me now. We did like over what was like nearly, it was like an hour and 20 or something.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty happy with me now. It's like, oh, you're finally doing work. You're finally actually getting out and doing things rather than just sitting at home all day.
Speaking of doing things, I actually have been doing a lot of programming recently, which is good to get in the habit of it. I'm in the process as we speak of building our website for our podcast to host it for future references, because not to slate Podbean or any other podcast hosting website, but they do skin you alive when it comes to features.
Yeah, because you see, with podcasts they're hosted. So hosting is when they take your uploads and they put them on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all this, with what's called an RSS feed, as you know. Well, you know, but listeners won't. And it costs money every month. Because initially we were going to go with DistroKid, which is a music distributor, which is only €20 a year. But the only problem with that is that it's for music only. They do not do podcasts. So we needed to find a podcast host, and they were all really expensive.
Yeah, and none with the beginner thing as well. Like we did find Podbean in the end after a couple of hours of searching through, but Podbean offers us 5 free episodes, so it's about 5 hours worth of content. And basically what you're paying for them to host your website, or host all your data on your website. So all your MP3 files for your podcasts, all the data for your paragraphs and your titles for each episode, your images and all that. And then they take all that and they put it and distribute it into different social media or just different media platforms. And for what it's doing, they're really overpricing you. And I couldn't find a single thing that was helping. But then I found GitHub. For those of you who don't know, GitHub is like
the land of the programmers.
Yeah, it's where all the projects, you can host projects and books and everything. It's and they do a service called GitHub Pages, and they allow one free website to be hosted per user. So I have a website already made up just for myself for like my CV and just an extension of that and stuff. And then I have a page on that of our podcast, and I'm in the process right now of getting all the data organized so we can resubmit an RSS feed with that on it. And then we'll have it for free.
Hopefully will work.
If that works out pretty good, then we'll have it for free forever.
Well, I mean, although a lot of these podcast hosters are like very expensive, they do a good job. I mean, we get statistics and stuff from well, we don't because we're on the free version, but you would if you paid from Podbean and stuff, and like you get your own website and things like that. Which is pretty good, but I mean, like, all we really needed was somewhere where we could upload our podcasts and get them onto Spotify. There was no real need to check out statistics because we get that on Spotify. We can get that on Apple Podcasts. We can get them on that.
Yeah, they offer a great plethora of features, but you can tell from what they're offering you for... I saw one, the top was, what, €40 a month?
Yeah, there's like, if you're like a professional business or something, then
but even then it was what, 15 for the next one up.
I think the cheapest one I think is 12, I think, or 9, 12 or 9 a month, which is still pretty steep considering a lot of the podcast hosts you have to pay annually, so you have to pay.
That's another thing as well, actually.
9 a month, but buy 12 initially. Yes, you get it for the whole year, but like, you know, 9 a month is easy enough, but you don't want to pay a load of money straight out the gate.
Yeah, so we were looking at this when just before we put out our first episode, just to have it on Spotify, just because it's the place you want podcasts, that and iTunes. And putting it up there, we were like, oh, cool. I mean, we could pay the 12, split it 6, just because we didn't know if this is going to stick or flop.
Yeah.
With ourselves, not even with the
thankfully,
audience.
at least with both of us, it's sticking so far.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we've managed to come together every Thursday to record a podcast, and we usually get it up that day, or at least late that day. Worst comes to worst, and then even we've got a good amount of audience at the moment. Nothing spectacular, but something that's lovely for us to see.
Yeah, I mean, if things don't work out, you could just pay things like Podbean the full annual fee. But before we even had one episode out, I think paying how much, €12 for the year per month?
No, I think it was 9 or 12. It was one of the two.
Yeah,
but like, come on,
that's nearly €100 to drop on a podcast you haven't even made yet.
Yeah, we didn't even know if it was going to work, not a mind if we were going to be able to do it properly. But I think, so we've got 5 hours in total to use. This podcast will be our third. So we will have 2 hours left after this. And then I got an email saying that we have a 2-week free trial of, like, I think the first paid version. So we'll try that out for another 2 weeks. We'll see how that works. And if by then we want to, we actually think this will work and we're going to stick to it, then we can upgrade it. I think we should, if it works by then, because we might as well. I mean, it's kind of like a hands-free thing. You just upload it and it does it for you straight away. You don't need to resubmit anything. You don't need to do anything. All you need to do is upload.
Yeah, and I was fine with doing that until I saw the price tag they're offering.
Especially without even starting one.
Yeah, and for something that it seems now that I can pull together myself.
Yeah, but it was lovely seeing it on Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
And it should hopefully stay there.
Hopefully, yeah. That's our aim, anyways. But so today we're going to be getting into meeting our first friend.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I think I'm just going to start because I've got a lot of detail to go through. Not too much, but good amount. So I must have been 3, 4. Everything happened when I was 3. That's a running joke in my family. Everything happened. I have a memory that's really good. Chances are it's from when I was 3. So I was 3 or 4. I'd imagine I was probably 4. And I was on my swing out the back, and I saw over the wall, just people walking, and I was like, "Who are they?" And then like just walking in their garden, and then a little while passed, and I noticed that one of the kids was jumping up on the trampoline, and I was like, "Oh, there's kids there." So I, one way or another, anyways, I ended up getting to meet her. Her name is Alana. She's listening. She'll be happy to know that she's my first friend. And basically, what happened was, when we first met, it was because I think our parents had started talking, and then we kind of like organized to meet up. But initially, when we started hanging out, the wall was so high that I used to get passed over the wall. So my dad would lift me up onto the wall, and then whoever was on the other end, one of the parents would drag me down into their garden. So that went on for quite a long time. But then eventually my dad was like, "That's it. We're just going to cut a hole in the hedge." There might have been one there already, I'm not sure, but we're just going to cut a hole in the hedge, put a gate there so you can walk through all you like.
Oh, wow. Irony on that.
Yeah. So cut a hole through the hedge and then put in a gate, and we could just walk through it all the time. So it made it really easy to hang out. And if I wanted to hang out then, because it was in she lived in an estate, like a little green. So just like a circle of houses, whereas I lived on the road, like just a normal road. So the back of my house the back of my garden was the back of her garden. So we used to go through there, but then going through there, we get to hang out with everybody in the estate without having to go the whole long way around. Also helped for when she needed to walk home from school later in later years, because she could just walk through the gate instead of having to go the entire way around as well. But that was the first time that I had met somebody that wasn't just in play school or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was in school yet. I don't think I'd started big school, as they say, yet. So it was kind of a strange experience to like see this mysterious person over the wall,
Right.
and then get thrown over the wall effectively and hang out with them. Then, but yeah, that started off a relationship with her. Then, well, a friendship, I suppose, because 4-year-olds don't have relationships.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, no, it was good, like having a friend so early, and then from knowing her, I got to know so many other people in the green. That's what it was called. Because there was a massive green circle of grass in the middle.
The hood.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, then we all hung out all the time. Just, whether it was kicking a ball around or, exploring or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, I'm still friends with all of them as well. I did have friends as well on the road that I was on, but we all kind of hung out together then because we all went to school together because it was a small school. There's like 100 kids in the entire school, like at a given time.
You went to a prefab, not a school.
I went to a prefab, basically. The prefab outside the school was as big as the school, basically. But yeah, so because we all got into school together then, because it was a small village, we all became friends quite easily then. But it wasn't like super quick. It took a while for everyone to like meet up together. Because for the longest time I would just go meet Alana, or I'd go across the road and meet someone else or whoever, like. But yeah, that's my experience meeting my first friend.
Yeah, well, from my experience, I can't say I've been tossed over a wall.
That's all we had.
Or had a gate put in my backyard, but it just came out of play school, I guess, because, well, you don't really meet any other kids through anywhere else. You go through play school, you kind of meet a bunch of people, and then you go into your big school. Right?
Big school.
And I had 2 childhood best friends, I'd say. Kyle and Fikra, if you're watching. Hello. Yeah. Well, yeah. And 3 of us, we're
the best buds.
Yeah, met together in play school, I guess. Sort of.
Yeah.
Because you were kind of friends with everyone in play school. I suppose a bit more friendly with them. But then you go into primary school and you realize that like you're attaching to those kind of people. You hang out with them more and more and just kind of did whatever they were doing and vice versa, I guess. And
which wasn't a lot when you're a kid, like
exactly.
Really. The extent of your hanging out is playing games and running outside or kicking a ball. Like there's not much.
Yeah, and then Kyle one day was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this taekwondo thing. It's like karate." And I was like, "Wait, you're doing something that I'm not? I better change that and just do it." So I just joined about a month after him and stayed there for 10 years. It was a weird way to start something that you just keep up.
What is it? Is it called a black belt in taekwondo?
Yeah.
Nice. So you could kick my ass if you wanted.
I mean,
are you allowed? Like with martial arts and stuff, isn't there like a secret code? Not a secret code.
Oh God.
a code of honor almost,
It's
where
not
you
Agent
can't
Shield, like.
you can't use it outside of the place you're doing it. You can't use it to attack someone.
Well, yeah.
Because I have a friend who does MMA, and they said once that like they're not actually allowed to use it outside of training, or outside of a fight, because it's like it like breaks your code of honor.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. I couldn't give you the specifics of what it is, having left like 3-4 years ago now.
This was, yeah.
But yeah, no, there's definitely stuff like that. Like don't use what you learn in here outside to benefit you. But there was things that like allow, you were allowed to have self-defense, or else kind of it would be kind of weird.
Or try to kick me in the face, but stop just before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just but yeah, no, that was a weird way to start a big chunk of my life, just because someone else was doing it. It's not a real good motto to follow, I wouldn't do so. I wouldn't.
You sheep.
Yeah, don't be a sheep. But I mean, it did work out, man. You got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff from that, but
I suppose it was not necessarily like a jealousy thing, but I'd say you were just kind of like, oh well, if he's doing this, I won't get to hang out with him. So at least if I'm
not
doing
even.
it
It
too,
was just like he's doing this, I'm doing this. It was I was being a sheep, but I was like 4 or 5, so that's what you do with your friends, really.
yeah, I suppose.
You don't really hold your own.
Yeah, I tried out a lot of sports when I was younger. I tried hurling.
Never tried hurling. I can't say it.
I did hurling. I did it for 2 weeks, I think, but like training's only like once or twice a week, so I didn't really do it for 2 weeks, and I hated it because every time I go in for the schlitter, I'd nearly get the ankles and the shins like chopped off with the hurleys. So I was like, no, that's not it.
I tried soccer and I didn't like it just because
I never started soccer, but I would kick around the ball outside, and I wasn't like terribly bad, or we play like a game like a 1v1, and I wasn't horrible, but like I never went to do it. I did rugby for 2 years though.
I did rugby for about 2 weeks. I just wasn't a fan of it. I was a very timid child, I guess. I didn't like contact, which is ironic having done taekwondo, but I guess I just kept it because I had been doing it.
Yeah, well, I found it easier because one of the guys from my primary school class, because I was during primary school, did it during 5th and 6th class. Shout out Connor. He introduced me to everyone.
Big up Connor.
Big up Connor. But he like introduced me to everyone then, so that I wasn't just like alone the entire time. So I kind of stuck with him, you know, like when you go to a party and you know nobody, you stick with the one you know.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and like I never really made like super good friends with some of them, but I did. I mean, but they weren't like they still weren't the cool group, even in a rugby team. Like, you know, like I was never in the cool group in school either. It was just that's because I was a little chubby kid who played games. So, but yeah, no, I'm extremely afraid when there's a massive fiend coming towards me, and I'm like,
oh, in rugby,
yeah, because
sometimes you need to be built for those kind of things.
Yeah, and I just honestly,
sometimes you don't.
I think I'm just a little sensitive baby, like.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of times where I just suck it up and I'd go for it and I'd pull off some nice stuff for me, something that made me feel like I was making progress. But then the next day or the next week, whatever, we'd have training again. It was like, meh. The second year, I wasn't really up to it, but I just did it anyways. And then I was like, then I moved and I was like, I'm not bothered to join another team because I'm not even good at it. So why would I bother? And I was like, there's no point in me starting another sport when I'm not even good at it.
If you're not enjoying it, why would you keep going?
Yeah, I mean the first year was fun. It was like obviously
I can't say I've had that with. Actually, no. Did start scouts in not second year, 6th class. That was
I
also
never understood scouts.
That was also, I think, because
Greg.
No. I met Greg and met Greg later and realized we both did it. But I think it was because. I don't think it was because Kyle was doing it or anything like that. I think it was just like he was like, "Oh, I might join the scouts," and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Might as well like crack."
Yeah.
It wasn't as much of like a sheep move as more as it was like,
why not?
Why not? Good suggestion.
Wait, how long did you do scouts for?
2 and a bit years. I'd like to say 2 to 3 years. I can't remember exactly. I just remember I had to stop going every week because I was training for the black belt. Specifically just to do that grading, and then after the black belt grading, I stopped scouts.
Wait, when was this? Because I don't actually remember asking you. Because I remember you said you did it, but I never asked you when. The scouts. Like, what age were you when you started?
11, 12.
Oh.
You had to be in 6th class to start scouts, opposed to Cubs. I didn't want to go into my last year of Cubs, so I waited a year, and then I got into first year scouts. And it kind of just bait me around a bit, and it was worth it, I guess. You know, going outside and to hold your own, do this and your own responsibility, work as a team, and it was just really fun. I actually really liked it, and I like being outdoors in that sense. Weird.
Yeah, I never got the bug for wanting to go outside, and
it was just nice to be detached.
Make fires in camp.
You go out for like a week,
Ugh.
Just somewhere, and just to be detached is actually really nice, and I'd like that now.
Yeah. I mean, I would do it if it was in a group that was set up for me or something. Like if it was just like, let's say all the lads, and we just go out and do it.
Well,
It might
after
be
a
bit better,
while,
'cause it'll be
those
more-
lads they're not strangers. So
Yeah, I suppose. But I think having someone like of authority there too, I feel like wouldn't be as fun as if it was just the lads and we just went out and had fun. Like,
yeah, but when you're like 12 and stuff, you look for that authority because you can't be your own authority.
yeah.
So if
I
the
mean,
lads
like,
went out at the age of 12, I don't think anything would come about it.
yeah, they'd be like, we don't know what to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just enjoyed it a lot, and sad to say that I just kind of stopped doing it because at a certain point, once you've done enough, you either finish it and go about your life, or you become like an adventurer. No, adventurer, not adventurer, adventurer. You're just like above a scout, and then you just kind of help around as being a leader.
Adventurer or adventure?
No, like adventurer. Like it's like adventure, but it's without the A and D. Yeah. But yeah, you just kind of just start helping out, and you're like kind of like a leader in that sense. And I was like, it's not scouts then anymore, really.
Yeah, I mean, I
wasn't particularly good at scouts. I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I never went for one of those like non-typical kind of, or atypical kind of hobbies. I kind of just stuck with mostly just gaming because I was a little chubby kid. I loved tech. I loved playing games. The most I did was that 2 weeks of hurling. I did 2 years of rugby, which was actually surprising for most people because that's not something I would usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, there was nothing really else that I can think of that I ever really did. Like I never went to a summer camp. I never went to the Gaeltacht or anything. I never did anything like.
Yeah.
I know those aren't hobbies or anything, but like I never did anything like that because those things just don't interest me. Like I'd rather spend a week working in a tech shop than go camping for a week. Like.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like even like. I just never had the desire to do something.
I guess
else.
I just started diving into things because of the people that are around me. I do that.
Yeah, and what's weird is as well is that like most of the people around me were sporty. Like I had my friend Rosie who did like 3 sports. She did rugby, she did hurling, and soccer. And I think that's it. I don't know, but she definitely had 3 sports because she was like never home, and it was insane the amount of stuff she'd do, and then. We had my friend Thomas. He was doing rugby. I think he did hurling a little bit too. We had Connor who did rugby. We had this guy Aiden who was, I have my own opinion about him, but he did soccer as well.
Right.
He wasn't really a friend, but he was in my class. Like most people in my class did sports, so it was odd to not even like, just for that to rub off on me. I mean, it did for a little while, but it hasn't stuck with me.
Right.
And now the friends I have, other than you guys, don't do sports, and even you guys only go to the gym. We don't do sports.
Yeah, I'm glad that came about, and branching, kind of why I actually did start going to the gym is actually because, well, I was still doing taekwondo, but one summer I got to do this teens CrossFit thing because our instructor does the CrossFit. Literally like connected to the taekwondo place, so he did both.
Oh yeah.
So he just told us about it and was like, you can come and it'll be fun. I was like, alright, cool. And it was really hard and struggling, and then I was like, but I don't like getting yelled at doing this, but I like doing this. I was like I'm sure if I go to the gym I can lift the weights and I can kind of I like doing things at my own, not my own pace, but like by my own standards.
Yeah.
So like I probably hold myself to the same standards and do the same things as they're making me do. It's just because they're not
telling you.
They're not telling me what to do. I just prefer it. Yeah. There's no pressure, but I'm still giving it.
Yeah, because when I wanted to try boxing, right?
Right. Yes.
And we went on a day that was kind of like a strength and conditioning day. It wasn't necessarily a fighting day, but we did put on gloves and we did box for a while.
Yeah, you do routines, but
Yeah, but
you didn't
oh
spar.
my god, was it horrible? For a while, so there was some like we'd have to run like there's normal stuff, run in a circle around whatever space you're in. Then we had to run up and down the stairs, high knees, multiple times.
Oh yeah, I know.
Then we had 4 lanes, or like 3 people in each lane, and we'd be doing like one of those bicycle kicks or something. I don't know. We'd be doing squats in another one. We'd be doing like sit ups in another one, and we'd swap
Yeah, you're
every
doing
like
circuits.
30 seconds. Oh my god, was it so tough because I hadn't done anything in so long.
Oh yeah,
And they push you, and everyone else there are boxers. They're all boxers, and they all do things. And I'm here like I haven't worked out in months, and I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But they were those kind of people who like will shout at you to do things, but then after a set and everyone's like, or whatever, after whatever the circuit ends,
mean.
She'd go. She said to myself and my friend, she was like, Alex. So she said to me and him, she was like,
Check
oh,
if you're alright, like.
you can take a break if you want.
Yeah.
By the way, if you ever feel any bad, you just need to take a sip of water, just take a breath, and you can come back when you want. And I was like, thank God, she's not going to shout at me if I leave. But the fun part then, when I didn't want to take a break, was then when we actually got to the boxing. We were doing circuits, going around
Drills.
multiple things, yeah. Doing punches and all this, and then
hit the pads, duck and weave kind of things.
Well, we were doing the bags at that stage, and then
Right.
we swapped with the people in the ring, and then we were hitting the pads,
Right.
learning a bit of technique there, and that part was fun. But I will say, it was like I took a shower afterwards. My hair was sopping wet, and it actually felt,
that's how it is.
It felt amazing afterwards. Then, like coming out and be like soaked with sweat, but like knowing you did a good workout.
Yeah.
I only took a break like once or twice or something because I just needed it for a second because I had a monster beforehand, and the gas was like making me feel sick then because it was all sloshing around.
Yeah. That's part of the reason why I started doing running in the gym. So I go to the gym mostly to do muscle work and to try and just put it on, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I started. Well, I had started. I kind of stopped because of COVID. I need to get back into doing like high intensity interval training just to train up to do like a run of 5K or whatever. But
yeah,
you're dripping after it and it feels good. I get the high you're talking about from doing the boxing circuits, and I don't have to get yelled at for an hour to the edit.
Once so. I think I did high intensity interval training, like as in running.
You're running for a minute, walk for
30 seconds or something, and do that for like 15 minutes. And I got in the car to go home, and I was wired. I was so awake and so energetic because my body was like, "Thank you," but then I like crashed.
Yeah,
like an hour and a half later, I was like,
"Oh
God, so tired." But it was crazy because usually like I'd be wrecked, my shoulders would be dropping and everything, and I'd be like walking all like slumpy, but this time I was just like, "Woo, let's go!"
Yeah.
But I prefer to do the incline walking. That's what I like doing.
That's a good way to lose weight while retaining muscle. I'm not doing the running as a means of losing fat to like look more lean. I'm literally doing it. Well, I kind of care. I care for my heart. Yeah, it's a bit more of a fitness thing.
Yeah, just be fit rather than skinny, I suppose. But I would prefer. I think I would prefer to walk incline walking for 45 minutes than to run for 15 minutes. Yeah. Because running just takes it out of me a lot quicker. Yeah. And then afterwards I'm like don't even want to be alive. Whereas after I stop walking, my legs feel a bit jiggly because I've been on
thing for how long
on the treadmill for so long. But then after a couple of minutes, I'm fine, and it doesn't like make me want to die as much.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. No, I get that. Keeping up with a running plan, like I use Couch to 5K on I think it's Couch to 5K. That is an app, but I don't know if I use it. I definitely use some sort of from nothing to a 5K thing, and you do 3 days a week, and I was following that in college until they closed because of COVID, and it was great. I mean, I really wish, COVID, obviously I wish COVID didn't happen, but I just wish I could finish it out because I tried to finish it at home running around and it just wasn't happening.
We're just running around in circles.
I have there's a route I can do that does 5K, and I was just going to run that, and I was like, no, because like you don't, because of the way it is, like run, walk, run, walk, run, walk. I don't know where I'm gonna end up when I finish the workout, and the last thing I want to do is end up halfway. Like, let's say I do a lap and I do 5K, and then I go halfway and I have to walk back. I just
Yeah.
want to click stop on the treadmill and do, because I'm, I'll get into outdoor running eventually, but I want to be. I just like the
Yeah.
interval training, I guess.
Yeah, I do find though sometimes probably just a problem with my breathing, but I do get like almost like a not a sore throat or
Yeah,
anything,
it's
but kind of like
through your mouth. It's through your mouth.
yeah. I think it's just like so much cold air coming in at once, and I'm just breathing badly. I'm just being a
This is
mouth. I'm just a mouth breather,
The
basically.
fact to do with this is that if you don't breathe through your nose an awful lot, it starts to close a little bit, and that's why you find if you're running and you try to breathe through your nose, you feel like you can't get enough air in.
Yeah.
It's because you're not used to it. So the more you breathe through your nose, the more it opens up, and then you can breathe through your nose to get the filtered air when you're running. You'll sweat less, and your throat won't feel dry, and you won't feel out of breath, and it kind of helps you that way.
Yeah. I think I breathe through my nose when I'm going to sleep. I don't really like when I'm going to sleep. Like I'm not that kind of person. That stuff annoys me. I don't understand how people breathe loudly when they sleep. Like I could be asleep or going to sleep at least, and you wouldn't hear a thing. But yeah, no, I find outside it's a lot easier for it to be not a nice workout. And also it's that thing of like, maybe that day you're just feeling not great. Maybe you started the day with a headache, and you were like, I'll go for a run anyway.
Treadmill is a real controlled environment.
Yeah, but then you go halfway, and you have to like walk back with a headache. Like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's having the controlled environment on a treadmill in a gym is a lot nicer because it eliminates a lot of those factors.
And you have to keep the same pace, otherwise you will fall.
Yeah.
And it feels bad to turn it down if you're not meant to turn it down. So I guess having that consistent pace helps a lot as well. Also, I find it easier, especially when I have music on. I can actually run to the beat or walk to the beat, and it makes the time fly much better. There's a couple
I've spent a lot of my running sessions listening to TMG. So shout out to Tiny Mikang. I know you're listening. Huge fans. But,
obviously you're listening. I mean, you're trying to scope out the competition and all.
Obviously, yeah. We're just coming up hot. And no, I just been listening. I literally not listen to them for the week, just to listen to them when I'm running, because I'd end up getting through like half a podcast per thing.
Oh, you listen to the podcast when you're running?
Sometimes because it started getting harder in like week 4, 5, I put on the music, because it's like run for 5 minutes, walk for a minute, run for 3 minutes, walk, and I'm like, Noel Mount and Noel Miller and Cody Cole skitting is gonna get me through this running, so I need like music. But I like listening to that, and I'd listen to Joey Diaz on Joe Rogan and stuff, and it's just. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because the idea of music is you distract yourself from running.
Yeah.
And if someone's telling a funny story or just being funny, it's the same thing.
I suppose, yeah. But I do find that the beat helps me with pace, though.
Oh, sometimes it keeps feel different with music.
It's a bit more, for sure. Bit more motivation. Especially if I'm about to go for a set and something's about to drop. There's about to be a drop coming up. I'll wait until the drop, and then I'll start on the drop, and I'll pull up the first weight, because I think
a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I just want the help, and I look like a fool then, because I go to pick it up and I'm like waiting, and then I do it.
Yeah.
So I look stupid doing it, but it helps me then actually do it.
For sure.
But so I just wanted to get into as well. Speaking about the whole
meeting friends.
We also said we were going to talk about how we met. So I think we could get both sides on this. So what happened with me was, so there's a couple of people involved in this story. There's me, there's you, there's our friend Zoran, and our friend James.
Both mutual.
And our friend Annalie. Also mutual, really. Yeah.
Okay, they're all mutual friends. That's basically how we met. It's through mutual friends, but we'll elaborate on it.
So I was always hanging out with Annalie and all that group. We were all our own group. And then Annalie started talking to Zoran and James, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, who are these guys or whatever. So then one day they were in Supermax, and Annalie went to go meet them, and I was with Annalie at the time then. So then when I went up then, we just all started chatting and we got on really well. But then I think Zoran started coming out to Shannon a lot more, so I saw him a lot more then. And then through that, I think one day we went to Limerick, wasn't it? I think we decided to go to Limerick.
Yeah, after you had made friends with that kind of clique.
Yeah,
which I was a part of, just not there.
Yeah, you weren't there at the time, but like myself, James and Zoran, got together a little bit. Yeah. And then so then I went to Zoran's house, and were you there already?
No, so what happened was so Evan had already made friends with James and Zoran, and we were all planning on going into town to go to the cinema and just hang out and stuff, all that kind of stuff.
Boys on tour.
Exactly, boys on tour. And this is basically a forced introduction to each other.
Yeah, which I which you didn't like.
An integration of mutual friends, I guess.
A new person, this intruder.
Yeah, I'm not exactly one to accompany change when it's surprising, but I mean,
so
I also don't.
Were you at Zoran's before I was there, or did you show up after me?
I think I was there about 5 minutes before you came.
Yeah, so I walked into Zoran's room, and you were there standing. And first thing I noticed was your water bottle that was cloudy, and I was like, "Is that G Fuel?"
Got that pink drink. Well.
So we bonded over G Fuel. But rough.
Yeah, well, there you
go. So yeah, we bonded over G Fuel, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. Because I was like nervous enough because I was like new people,
right.
Whatever, and you were like, hi.
Yeah, I'm not exactly what you'd call extroverted.
Yeah, like you liked the group of friends you had, and who there was this random guy just coming in.
Don't poke my bubble, I'm safe.
Yeah. But then we just
kind of better now, actually. Just for the record, college is actually
you're fine now.
College has really brought me out of my shell.
I noticed the first time we met though there was a little bit of a.
I mean, I don't know if college specifically brought me out of my shell. It was also more Cuba, because Cuba is a textbook extrovert.
Yeah.
So I just followed him around, and then you eventually meet more people, and because I'm just basically doing what he's doing, kind of makes you a bit more extroverted, and I had no problem doing that because I need it.
Yeah, exactly.
For everything. But continuing.
But yeah, we just kind of clicked, really. There wasn't much more to it than that. But I believe then when it came to Greg, another name drop. Did I
mentioned him before?
Did I meet him before you?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, tell him that story.
So we were in. I think I was with Annalie. I think I was.
You're with that group.
I think I was. No, I was just with Annalie,
okay.
And she went to McDonald's to meet Zoran.
Right. Group meeting together.
And went to McDonald's. Zoran and this other guy was sitting there, and I was like, "Who's this?" Turns out it was Greg. So we kind of all just chatted. It was a new guy, nothing special. We just kind of chatted. Made friends, I guess, but we didn't know if we were going to see each other again. I got his Snapchat, I think, just because he was a mutual friend, or he was a friend of a friend, really, at that time. And then he went to. So then his mom came, and he went to leave, and I don't know if it was the first time he went out or the second time, but he walked into the door.
Yeah, this is before the time of McDonald's automatic doors, so he just smack bang.
So I think he went to pull, but it was a push, so he just walked
forehead
into
in
it.
glass.
Or it was a pull. No, it was a. Yeah, it was a pull, but he thought it was a push, so he walked right into it.
Yeah, if it was a push and you thought it was a pull, you wouldn't walk into the door. Yeah.
So he walked into it.
This is what we would call a classic Greg movie. He's kind of just...
yeah, he's just clumsy.
Yeah.
Then he had to come back in with the walk of shame because his mom wanted something from McDonald's. And the door did not hit him on the way out, thankfully. But it was very close.
That became a nice way to icebreak between the two of them. I myself have been friends with Greg for quite some time, I guess. We met in first year because I don't know.
Because you're both lanky.
Yeah, sure.
You're both
So
tall
I don't
boys.
know if everyone listening to this is Irish, but I'll give the rundown of what happens when you go into your first year of secondary school, high school kind of thing. So you go in and you have options you pick. So it can be like engineering.
Your school is different to mine. I didn't get this.
Yeah, okay. You got to choose yours before you went in. But what happened was it was like engineering, art, music, science. No, we had to pick science. Engineering, music, art,
Home ec.
Things like that. Woodwork, things like that, right? So just things that you pick and you do. And so what they did with our school is when you go in, you got in your timetable different options. So different, like you got like art and music 1 week, and then 2 weeks later they change and you get home ec and
This is just for
business.
first year, by the way.
It's just for first year, and it's not even for first year. It's just up until midterm, so about October, Halloween kind of thing. And then by then you have to pick your options, and then they do it all out, and you have to pick them. So we're in home ec options,
making cookies,
and we all have to sit down in a certain way for some reason. Teachers just feel like they have to do that. And 2 seats across from me is none other than Greg, which
Gregory.
I felt the need for some reason to proclaim he looked like a dinosaur. I just don't know what it was. I just felt witty. I was 5'2" at the time as well, so I guess he was just... Yeah.
You were short at one point?
Yeah, imagine. I didn't come out the womb 6. But yeah, I was a lot smaller than him, and I just made the joke because I felt like that would be a way to break the ice, which it did, because I just kept it.
I had a joke. I had a similar thing for breaking the ice in first year, because we were sitting down getting like our introduction, and these 2 guys behind me. Now, keep in mind, I moved before first year, so I knew nobody,
right.
Like not a single soul. And there was this one, there was these 2 guys behind me that, now most of them would come from the primary school, which is like literally across the road. So 2 guys behind me knew each other, but they were like bickering about something, and I turned around and I was like, you sound like a married couple. And for some reason we clicked, and we were friends the entire time. I mean, we're finished now, but we were still friends, and like just me saying that one thing started up a whole friendship, just saying that they sounded like a married couple arguing.
So for some reason that's how I made friends with Greg, because you just, every time you see him, because he was in my base class, which is your class that you go around with for first year anyway. So every time I'd see him, I'd be
calling
like...
him a dinosaur.
Yeah, I'd be like, Gregosaurus.
What's up, Dino?
What's up, Gregosaurus, man? And, that kind of shit. That was funny, and, well, that stuck. Because it didn't stick. Our friendship stuck after that.
Yeah.
And then, talking of Zoran and James, just mutual down the line, I guess. There's no real stories for them. It's just kind of the same way me and you met. Yeah. It would just be... kind
of like...
It was a friend of theirs, and then you meet them.
Yeah, like me and Greg, it was literally like... Yeah. I knew Zoran, and
Greg
just happened to be there.
Yeah, sometimes it's not as organic. It's just because they're friends with someone else. It's mostly how it works.
There's no special things happening. There's no fireworks. Exactly. There's nothing special like that. It's just as simple as mutual acquaintances.
Yeah.
But so we met in quite an easy way, really.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a fight or a struggle. There was nothing awkward, really, other than the first couple words. But after that, like, we kind of just talked for a little bit. Can't even remember what about. I remember it being about G Fuels.
Probably waffle.
Yeah. And then I think we just went to Limerick, and then I actually think I still have that picture from that day. You made a face. I still have it.
Right. Yeah.
We're
not putting that up on screen.
Yeah, no, we're not going to put that. We're not. It's a bit...
I'm not putting that on
screen. It's a bit funny. But, I think I took 2 pictures of you making a face, and I still have them the day we met.
Yeah.
And I still have a picture of Greg the day we met. And for the longest time on Snapchat, his name was Dor.
So stupid things make friends for years to come, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy though that like we've been friends for how long now? I was in second year when we met, which was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 years ago, But even like a year in, it felt like an eternity. It was crazy.
We had said that I guess it took us way too long to make a podcast.
Yeah, it took us way too long. I mean, like we used to chat all the time, and we never would like record it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like it. I like it. You can get stuff off your chest. You can make story, or you can tell stories. I find it really nice. It's really nice. It's very therapeutic, really.
Yeah.
Especially since we kind of hadn't talked for a long time.
Yeah, that also made a difference, I
Yeah,
guess.
because like we were like, oh, let's make a podcast. Like a month or so later, we actually got down to talk about it before even doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it took quite a long time to get it done. But I mean, that's what friends are for.
I guess, yeah. Catching up on job interviews, actually, just one last thing I wanted to mention was I did one yesterday, and it was a weird one, right? So the way it worked was I had to do a video interview, but it wasn't on a call.
It was a submission.
So I had to record myself dressed like I would for an interview. So I went in, I got my white shirt, put that on, sat down.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Shout out my podcast in the submission.
Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be going for this job. Make sure to like and subscribe below.
And yeah, no, it was just, you answer questions. You had like 30 seconds to think of your answer. You recorded it and you submit it. And I just found it weird. I couldn't tell if I liked it or not, because it gets you get the interview to them straight away, because usually most time an interview is, do you look all right? Do you look hireable?
Yeah.
And do you seem hireable? And I did that part just over video.
Yeah. Well, some places you kind of do an interview quite quickly, so maybe because of the restrictions they're just
That's what I'm
that.
thinking. Yeah, it was just nice, because I just thought I'd bring it up because I'd never seen it before.
I haven't either.
Yeah, and it's just weird, but it could work in my favor, because now I just have to wait and see what they say. They could say, "You look fucking shit, man. Had enough of you." Or
look at that shirt on you, like.
They don't have to go, "Oh, cool, we like that. Let's take you in for an interview." It's just you just had one.
Yeah, like that. So, that is the interview. You're already done.
That was the application process, though. So I submitted my CV, put in my name, my email, and then I click apply, and it was like, "Okay, are you doing the interview now?" So it was like a part of the application process, which I like, because they can just sift through that then, and they have everything.
Yeah.
I guess.
Also, I was on TikTok, and I came across a page that was doing job questions. So they'd answer questions about jobs and give you tips. Whether it be a resume, why did I say it like that? A CV, or whatever else, your interview, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the tips it said was use keywords in your application, because chances are the first round is an algorithm. It's just a computer, and even if it isn't a computer, the person will look for keywords. So if you look at the job description, take out lovely keywords, throw them in your CV or resume or whatever, and then you're more likely to get picked for the first time, and then someone will look at it more with more detail the second time. So that might have been a problem you were having. I don't know. Because you said you were doing it fine. So the only problem must be keywords for the first round. And I'd imagine there's a lot of people trying to get jobs right now, because a lot of people are out of jobs.
Yeah.
And there's no COVID payment anymore. So, even pub owners might need to go get one. Go to, I don't know, Next. Go to Brown Thomas, Tesco, wherever. Because I saw this thing actually that said, what's the difference? I think it was someone in the government. They said, what's the difference between someone with a pint in their hand and a grilled cheese sandwich versus someone with just a pint in their hand? What's the difference? In relation to COVID. It's the same thing. Why, just because you have a sandwich in one hand?
Oh yeah, that's just a gray area.
Yeah. But I think I don't think that's necessarily it's a good point, but I don't think that's necessarily the point of not opening the pubs.
Yeah.
I think it's more so about the fact that restaurants have food as their main selling point, and then you can also get drinks. whereas a pub is literally just for drinks, and they're usually small, so you can't really social distance, and they're all old fellas anyways, so it's even more risk for them to be opened, especially in small villages and things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if that would work well. Anyways, so we have our weekly dose of
How did you fuck
life
that up?
advice.
Yeah.
Weekly dose
Here
of life
is my
advice.
weekly dose of life advice, straight out of this website called Reddit.
What? How do you? How
Or
do you,
eddit.com. Never heard of it. Well, I have heard of it.
is that
so
like
yeah.
Facebook?
Yeah, I'm not sure because I don't go on a lot, but
Oh, cool.
it looks like some sort of
Is there any
Insta
fake news in that thing now? Because I've heard there's a lot of fake news going on in
chat,
Facebook.
WhatsApp. Don't know. It's just
What's that now? The Snapchat. What's that?
you take pictures of your balls and send them off to Barack Obama.
Oh God, that took a turn for the worst. All right, just get on with it.
Okay, well, this life pro tip is if you can't make up your mind on a decision, flip a coin. But if you find out that your immediate reaction to it is disappointment,
then pick
go with the other one.
I did this. I was gonna buy a T-shirt. I didn't know whether to go black or white. I flipped a coin and I went. It was on black, and I went, nah. So I got the white one.
Yeah, that's it. I never thought about it like that.
No, I've done this for quite a while because I noticed it was happening with me. I'd flip a coin and then realize I don't want that one.
Yeah.
So it really does help clarify because you don't always have to go with what the coin says. At the end of the day, you're going to make the decision yourself. But when you started saying that, I knew exactly what it was because I've been doing that to myself recently. I've been flipping a coin and going, oh, I want to do this instead. So it definitely is useful. I would recommend using it quite a lot, though, honestly. I didn't do it for a while now. Last time I did it was the T-shirt, I think. But it definitely is a useful tool to have.
Yeah, because it helps with indecision and it can immediately show what you actually wanted. And
yeah,
sometimes you just need that kind of push.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I think for the name that we were choosing for the podcast, before we had picked one, we had like 4, and I put them in a spin wheel and I spun it, and it landed on one, and I went, meh. And then you were like, let's just call it Chat Lab. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah. Because Chat Lab was one of our 4. So we went
went with it, yeah. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up, really. If you want to follow us on all our socials, I will have a Linktree link
in the YouTube description.
And
if not, you can look us up on YouTube if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Could put it in the Spotify description this week. It's one link.
Yeah, I mean, if we're able to add a link, then sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just about to wrap it up, so I guess I'll just see you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.